session, Role of Technology in Global Tax Compliance. For that, I would like to call Mr. Karunakar Dev, Tax Technology Solution Manager, Avalara. Mr. Karunakar Dev is a seasoned professional with over a decade of experience in developing and executing sales and growth strategies across diverse sectors, including classifieds, real estate and hospitality, artificial intelligence, and tax technology solutions. Currently, he serves as a tax technology solutions manager at Avalara, where he assists organization in maintaining tax compliance across multiple geographies. Can we please have Mr. Karunakar Dev?
Again, I'm Karunakar, part of Tax Technology Solutions team at Avalara, and it is my deepest pleasure to be part of such an esteemed gathering here. In next 15 minutes, I'm going to drill down on the role of CFOs in global tax compliance and management. Moving on, Biswa sir today took us globally, and Rajesh sir got us back to India. I'm in Biswa sir's army getting you back to global sales here. Now, you might ask me a question, why United States, why US? Now, US is India's largest trading partner, and it accounts for close to 19 to 20% of India's total exports, as per the Government of India statistics last year. And the good part is that there are more number of categories that are being added for exports into US from India. Some of the top categories of exports that we do from India is that one, medical appliances, we have oils, rice, spices, jewelry, and software. Now, what you see on your screen are top 5 categories that constitute transactional tax into US, and there are a lot of complexities in taxation all around. There could be a blend of taxation as well. Imagine if you're watching a movie in a remote city in South Carolina, and that DTH service through which you've been watching that TV, the DTH and the set-top box would actually be under sales and use tax, and the streaming service would be under communication tax that you pay month-on-month bills. And the most complex and confusing among all these, and the most prominent one, is sales and use tax that you see number 1. Now, sales and use tax is very confusing, primarily because it is decentralized. And there are over 15,000 taxing jurisdictions, which include state, cities, and counties. And each have their own rate, rule, and transactions. And the tax rules are changing very frequently. Businesses must navigate varying thresholds of economic nexus because any transaction can trigger something called an economic nexus. And this can be triggered by the value of your transaction, or it can also be triggered by the volume of the transaction, which I'm going to touch base on in just a while from now. Now, the fundamentals of the whole problem or thing that actually has caused the most amount of pain for people around the world to business in the US is a term called nexus. I'm sure there are a great number of people in the audience who already are aware of what nexus is and what it does. But for the people who have limited knowledge, nexus, by definition, is a connection between a seller and a state where any seller needs to register, collect taxes, and remit the taxes to the state. Now, it is fairly simple to understand that if I have a physical office in any locality, if I have a traveling salespeople, if I have an inventory or a warehouse, or if I take part in any event or trade shows, I am breaching a physical nexus. It is completely understood. But what complexity comes in is something called economic nexus. And there is a story behind it as well. In 2018, there was a legal dispute between South Dakota State and a furniture manufacturing company by name Wayfair. Now, prior to 2018, only the companies which are physically present in a specific state were to pay taxes. And by doing this, states like South Dakota or any other state were losing out on huge amount of tax revenue because they did not have any physical presence. So they cannot charge anybody taxation. So in that ruling, the Supreme Court of US gave a landmark judgment and expanded the definition of nexus to include economic nexus. And by now, you or your business is not obligated to have a physical presence in the state to charge and pay taxes to the state. And by 2021, 45 states, parts of Alaska, and even District of Columbia have adopted to nexus laws. And it is confusing, and it is practically impossible to have these many calculations being done. Now, what you see here is that possibly virtually every transaction crosses any boundary. And to give you an example, there is a state called Georgia. And in one single zip code, there are 7 different jurisdictions. What happens here is that a lot of companies in India or people around the world, we all feel that, okay, we know that taxes can be calculated with zip code. A lot of point of sale, digital commerce companies, e-commerce companies, they all believe that, hey, just a mere zip code would be enough to determine the right amount of taxes. But in a state of Georgia, there is a single zip code which has 7 different tax rules. There could be a possibility that you are a resident of an apartment building, and the neighboring buildings in the same vicinity would be paying different taxes at different rates. So the tax laws are changing and evolving every passing day. Another example, I see a lot of companies have registered here which are also into software sales in US. Now, in software sales, if you talk about a state like California, 100% of software sales are non-taxable. The same software you bring in and sell in the state of Texas, you are paying taxes on 80% and 20% is non-taxable. And in some states, software sales are taxable, but software sales are non-taxable, but if you club it with a hardware, it becomes taxable. It shows how complex and comical some of the rules and laws are. Again, in a funny example, there is a state called Florida. The janitor service to clean the inside of windows are non-taxable, while commercially cleaning outside the windows are taxable. Right? So it is quite changing, and it is quite difficult for people to understand how to navigate around it. Moving on, there are 2 things certain in life, as said by a famous statesman and an inventor, Benjamin Franklin, that is death and paying taxes. Now, how many of you here feel that GST in India is laced with complexity? I'm sure Rajesh Shukla sir would not feel the same though. But how many of you here, can I have a show of hands here who feel that GST is laced with complexity? Anybody? All right. To give you an idea, last year, the number of GST rule changes, rather in 2022, were over 4,500 in the entire country. And I would love for you to take a wild guess on the number of tax rule changes that would have happened in United States last year. Any guess? Probably somebody from there. Any guess what number of changes would have happened in taxes? You can give me a range, could be 100, 200, 500, 1,000, whatever. Anybody from the audience? Anyone? Yes, sir. What do you think is the number of changes would have happened? 500 here. Anybody there? 700. It feels like I'm an IPL bookie right now. Okay. Now, to give you an example, the number of tax rule rate changes in the US were close to 200,000 if I even include tax holidays, which pretty much sums it down to close to 547 rule rate changes every single day. And you would need to have an army of people deployed to have these calculations be made. So it is not easy. And like I said, every state, every territory, every zone has its own taxation rules, so which can get complicated. And we have observed very much that there are a great number of organizations that default in making sure that right taxes are being calculated. Now, after US, India, UK is India's, UK and the whole of Europe is India's second largest partner for exports, which account to 17.5% of transactions last year. Now, there are changing rule and evolving rules in UK and the whole of Europe as well. And after Brexit, there have been some landmark changes that have happened across the European regime that has adopted to VAT. Now, VAT simplification is also on the cards. VAT simplification has happened. And due to the transformational changes that have been happening across Europe, increasing number of countries are making sure that the reporting of transactions are happening live. And there are people who can tell you more about it, but the fundamental objective here is for the government to understand what kind of transactions are being done. And they want you to have present, they want you to be in the ambit of their laws and jurisdictions. So it is important to understand that data-driven enforcement and e-invoicing are happening globally, and there are over 60 countries that have already sort of adapted to e-invoicing as well. Under data geologs, it is a mandate for a certain kind of transactional database or transaction details to be stored within a specific geographical boundary or jurisdiction. That has also been happening globally. Now, I'll also touch upon something that will give you an idea on the cost of non-compliance. And Avalara is an organization that is into business for the last 2 decades to determine taxes, to help organizations with much more in terms of taxation in detail. What has happened is that I'm going to give you an example of a company which is a digital service company selling into US, a fantastic organization, about $40 million in revenue, and they already are doing business in 10 states. Now, it is an organization that was on the brink of getting $1 billion revenue, that is a unicorn. Now, when they come to us, their fundamental objective was to understand that if they have any more states where they are breaching nexus, and if there is any historical tax compliance that they need to follow, they came to us to sort of have that sorted. And while looking at the magnitude of their engagement or business, we suggested them a detailed nexus study or sales tax risk assessment, to which they said, no, we are completely good. We are making sure that the numbers are accurate. We are calculating on Excel. And while this conversation was happening, and as per my introduction, I'm a salesperson, I was juggling many hats to have this deal closed. And my boss was holidaying at a cold desert, and he gets a call. And he tells me very vividly in a poetic fashion that it was the time of the year when neither the sun was too hot nor the frost was too cold. I was enjoying my vacation. And Friday, 15th of March this year, I got a surprise call from this CFO. And he said, I have received a $400,000 penalty in one state for non-compliance. And then when we did a detailed nexus study, we found out that apart from 10 registered states, this company has breached nexus in 12 more states. Now you multiply and do the math on the amount of money that you are going to be paying in penalties. And in the US, once you get a penalty, there is no looking back. You are ought to pay your dues, penalties, and interest on penalties as well. Second example is of a retail apparel brand which has been doing fairly well in US, part of Europe and Australia. Now, this company has been working for 2.5 years and doing fantastic transactions all around, a very well-known brand as well. And this company was found to be doing some transaction in a very small country called Slovenia. The size of Slovenia is pretty much similar to Pune. Pune is 15,000 square kilometer and Slovenia 21,000 square kilometer. Now, this country, if you found to be doing any transaction, even the first transaction without a valid registration or a VAT registration, you can end up paying penalties up to 125,000 euros. And that is significant for any organization. Now, in terms of fines and charges, US levies between 10 to 30%. The same in Europe could levy anywhere between 0.2% to close to 80%. And this is the example of Slovenian that I gave you. Now, if you see, Biswa and even Rajesh sir spoke about the reason why we need to be compliant. And we also believe that the cost of compliance is far lesser than the cost of non-compliance. And it is said that either you observe or there are tax authorities observing you in detail. Now, moving on, there are a greater number of emerging trends around the world as well in terms of tax reporting. Now, you can do digital reporting regardless of the format of your invoice, which can be paper invoice, e-invoice, or even a PDF format. And typically, the reporting period is periodical. So some countries would want you to do monthly, some would want you to do quarterly or even annually. The only thing is it is digital, so there are no paper forms delivered. And live reporting means tax reporting connected to the business transaction, and you do not report it periodically. The idea is to provide the transaction details live at the point of transaction and at the point of raising an invoice. And if the government decides to make e-invoicing mandatory in a country, it has all the possibilities of dictating terms. And it might say that the usage is mandatory and also specify the format. Now, moving on, an element of caution here, just like Avalara is helping organizations to simplify taxation and tax computation, there are organizations out there at large that are selling to government agencies as well. Now, so it is also important to keep pace with technology and their technological adoption. Now we see, as I spoke about economic laws, all 45 states, parts of Alaska and Colombia have adopted to economic nexus laws. Now, marketplace have to collect, report, and remit value-added tax on behalf of third-party sellers in EU. Now, this applies to import sales as well by EU and non-EU sellers of consignment value less than 150 euros to all the consumers. And under cross-border trade, there is a new harmonized system. World Customs Organization release a new set of HS codes every 5 years. And this update happens and makes sure that every country also adapts to it. And there are other initiatives going globally. After the fall of Brexit, the UK discovered that they have a tax gap of VAT gap of close to 9.9 billion pounds. And they have come up with various new changes and laws as well. It is also including and simplified the non-UK sellers through IOSS, that is Import One Stop Shop, and One Stop Shop solutions that you can be able to sort of understand more about. And in terms of real-time compliance, there are 60 countries that have already adopted to real-time compliance as well as we speak. Now, what you see here is the number of changes in tax rules, regulations in last 3 years are far more than the tax rule changes in the past decade. So it is important to understand that there are a greater number of challenges that we all need to adopt to, and which is practically not feasible for people to calculate or understand. And there is a new system that is coming up, possibly in Europe, that is VAT in digital age, to gauge more around the digital transactions and to be more compliant. Now, we know that the problems are large and huge, and that is why we feel that it is the need of the hour to understand that it is important to be compliant. And Avalara is a global company. We've been doing the same for the last 20 years, and we have over 41,000 customers in close to 70 plus countries. And we are able to sort of determine the taxes. We help companies managing their taxes. We help companies in managing exemption certificates. We calculate your taxes and make sure that we remit it back to the state as well. And apart from it, we also have a certain kind of product for the partner ecosystem, and which is also popular with top 100 companies as well. That is something called Avalara Tax Research. So the fundamental aim that we have here is to make sure that the taxing is more relaxing. And also, I also thought that there are greater number of organizations here that must be having some kind of exposure to US sales. So if you have any exposure to US sales, or if you want to know how compliant you are, we can take that burden off your hat. We can do it for free. And the fundamental aim of Avalara, again, is to be part of every transaction. So thank you so much. You guys have been a fantastic audience. Over to you, madam.
Great. So thank you, Mr. Karunakar Dev. I would like to request you to please stay back on the stage. And to do the honors, I would like to call Ms. Nikita Hurkat from Sterlite Technologies Limited to do the felicitation. Can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Karunakar Dev?